Bull Camper in the right place at the right time.
Joe Rose, touchdown Miami!
All right, welcome back to Out to Pasture. Joe, where were you last week, man? We lost
I did after a very rough football season, the ending. You and I were a little
chaotic.
Down. I decided to go to California, spend some time with my 91-year-old father. Had a birthday,
awesome.
so
Had a good time.
Had a great time.
It
was good. But I missed you guys, man.
No,
I missed you.
Look, it wasn't the same.
Marty Lyons.
I'll tell you what, Jimmy was really good. I might bump you off.
Cephalo is one of the smartest guys in the business.
He's way too smart for us.
He's a WPLG guy.
So talk about PLG. We're kind of going in here and talking about some new things. Kristi Krueger, who's been a long time in the news down here in South Florida. WPLG Channel 10 in South Florida, and she's done it all, Joe.
Medical reporter as well as a noon anchor, and nice enough to join us here. Is part of our team today with some great messages and great stories.
Welcome, Kristi. Good to have you on with us. And
thank you.
We usually tell people that that when we do this show, you've got to be 50 years or older to be on our show. We'll just say you're 50-ish. How's that?
I'm actually 60-ish, and I'm actually proud of it. So I feel like I'm still hanging in there.
Like that. That's good, Kristi. That's good stuff. Hey, Kristi, Bo and I were just laughing about all the dumb things we've done. Bo at CBS and 20 years at NBC. Mm-hmm. And you've seen it all from teleprompters breaking down, ad lib, kill time, the wrong video pop up. You've seen it all through the years.
All of it. 30-something years here at PLG.
Wow. You got a classic story for us of one that you went home telling your husband you're not going to believe this one.
Well, actually, it goes back further than WPLG. Remember the good old days when we had teleprompters that we used to have to use the foot pedal in paper and to make the paper go through? Well, my first co-anchor was my husband Todd, and we were working in Sarasota. And he really ticked me off right before we went on to a newscast. So he said, "Hello, I'm Todd Templin." And I said, "I'm Kristi Krueger." And then he was going to read a story. And I hit that foot pedal, and all of his scripts went flying by. And he made a complete ass out of himself. So, and he still stayed married to me for 37 years.
There you go. That's great stuff.
Hey, Kristi, when when you were in college, this is what you want. You wanted to be a broadcaster. That's what you went to school.
I did. I got
happened.
the football background like you guys. My dad was a football coach. He was with USC with John McKay for years. He was a head coach at Fresno State. Yeah. He was a head coach at Utah State, and he was with the Buccaneers. He was their first general manager. So I always wanted to be a sportscaster. But back in 1982, there weren't a lot of sportscasters that were females, just Hannah Storm. So I got my first job in Sarasota, and it was in news, and they kept promising me that I would get into sports, and here I am all these years later, and I'm still in news.
So Kristi, being here in Miami all this time, I look back, I got here in 1976, Joe, a couple years later. I'm not sure when you got down here, but probably
90s,
around that time.
early 90s, yeah.
And all the stuff we've seen, the Mario boat lift, the whole drug situation down here, the riots around the Super Bowl week. I mean, South Florida from Key West to Boca Raton has just been a maze of crazy stories. It seems like they're never ending.
Well, I always say that every national or international story almost always has some sort of a tie right back here to South Florida. I mean, even 9/11. Had a tie into South Florida. So yeah, this is a place to be. If you are a news person, you want to be in South Florida because there's always going to be an amazing story, an interesting story, or just downright crazy story coming out of South Florida.
Kristi, you talked about changes, and we've seen it for females in the industry, radio and TV, from where it was when you started to the opportunities now. Just talk about the changes you've seen through the years.
Oh, I mean, it's been amazing, the changes that have happened over the years. I mean, think about it. Early on, the women were sort of the sidekick. And thanks to Ann Bishop, the icon of all icons, everything changed. I mean, she not only hit that glass ceiling, I mean, she broke it for the rest of us so that we are equal partners out here. And so many, not just on air either. in our newsroom, most of our producers are female. A lot of the news directors and general managers in the industry are female now. So it's a completely different industry than when I first started in 1982, 1986, and those years.
Talk about that a little bit. Talk about how the how the women have really evolved. Like, I mean, look, I know it's CBS4. It's a lot of women. We have women. We've had women, a news director. We've got a woman GM there, and they bring a different energy. And I think, in a lot of things, and not just TV, the advantage that women, or the more the women that get involved, I think everything's kind of gotten better and better because you get,
good. Well, I'm glad you think so.
Neanderthals like us out of the way.
I think we bring a different perspective than, and not in a unique perspective. It's not necessarily a better perspective, but just a different perspective to the table every day in terms of what kinds of stories we want to cover, what things are important to viewers. We are the ones kind of keeping that family together, and in my case, doing the health reports. I know that they really are impactful for women because women are taking care of their kids. They're forcing their husbands to go to the doctor when they don't want to go to the doctor. They're the ones that are the caretakers of the family. So I think the fact that we have so many females as part of the perspective of the news, deciding what news stories we do every day and delivering that news in perhaps a more compassionate and caring way, I think it just makes us all better.
Kristi, besides the growth of Dade and Broward County and the population from where it was when we all started down here in South Florida to where it is now, what's been the biggest changes you've noticed, especially in Dade and Broward County where you guys cover?
Well, I mean, traffic. When I got down here, I could drive anywhere. Now I'm scared to drive on most highways. On 95, I white knuckle it every time I get on the highway. And I just think, we're such a melting pot, but we always have been, but I think even more so now. There's just so much diversity and so much energy and so many exciting things that we can do every weekend. You can really just embrace all the different cultures of South Florida. And I think that just makes us a very special place.
Kristi, I want to ask you, one of the biggest change I know for me, and I get it doing radio every morning, and some of it I deserve. Social media,
a lot of it he deserves.
Social media can be vicious. The guys go, hey, you know what people are saying about you? I go, no, I'm fine. I don't need to know now.
I don't need to know. Yeah.
How have you done with all that stuff? Everybody got an opinion. I know the ladies I worked with at NBC, how they look, what they have on.
You wear. Yeah.
Exactly.
But your hair, the makeup. Everybody's got an opinion. It used to be, we'd get a letter in the mail and I could just toss it in a trash can. Or then it was emails, and I got a few of those and I could click and delete. But social media is tough because it's out there for everybody to see. Yeah. I just did a story recently with my daughter who was battling tinnitus and also sudden hearing loss. And people were downright rude, writing us and saying, I was fake news, and because she got it from COVID, that COVID wasn't real. And I mean, it's just, everybody's got an opinion, and social media makes it easy for everybody just to throw those opinions out there. And it's a faceless, nameless person. It's a lot more difficult when you're seeing somebody eye to eye. It's harder to be that critical. It's really easy to be critical when you're hiding behind social media.
Yeah, it's very easy. Hey, well, when you look back at your career, what's been the most impactful story that you've covered?
Gosh, there have been so many of them. I've been so blessed because not only do I get to do the health reporting, I also have traveled the world with Ron McGill from Zoo Miami, who I know you guys are friends with, awesome. And doing these Eco Hero contests. And I've heard from so many viewers over the years on various health stories that I've done that they say that they've saved their lives. I talked to a young girl yesterday who started crying on the phone because I put her in touch with a doctor who she thinks is going to be able to treat a condition that everybody else had told her was untreatable. So I can't really put my finger on one thing. I've just been so blessed to be able to do what I love and do it in a place that I love in South Florida. And to feel like, I've been able to inspire some people and encourage some people along the way.
Recently, you've had a fracture of your wrist.
I did.
Take us through that and what happened there, and then you got your doctor on. We're going to bring on Dr. Cardoza here shortly, and
Yes.
we'll kind of talk about this.
Okay, yeah, because I definitely want him to be a part of this because he put me back together again. He put Humpty Dumpty back together again. But yeah, I have to tell you, maxi dresses are very, very dangerous. And I tripped on my maxi dress watching the Florida-Miami game. I was very angry about the Gators losing so poorly to Miami, so badly. And I jumped up out of my chair and tumbled right over and broke my wrist. At first, I thought it was just a bad fracture, or a bad sprain. But the next day, we went to the Baptist walk-in, and they confirmed that I had a pretty bad break. And that's when we saw Dr. Cardoso, who has been a blessing because he has put me back together again, and I'm good as new. I'm moving that wrist all over the place now.
That's good.
That's
Yeah.
good. That's
Let's bring up Dr. Cardosa and talk to him a little bit about and all the difficulties with that. And so Doc, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us what you do. What's your specialty with Baptist Health? And it's such a great hospital. I mean, we deal with a lot of people at Baptist Health and all the different areas. And let's hear about what you do specifically.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure to be on the show. Thank you guys for the invite. So I'm an orthopedic surgeon, but I specialize in the arm. So from the elbow down, most of my work is hand and wrist work. So helping to put folks together who break or injure their hands or have arthritis in their elbow, wrist, and hand. And that's what we do. We're based out of in the Baptist system, as you mentioned. I'm down in Coral Gables, and I'm up in Plantation doing that work.
This Baptist Health thing, Doc, keeps growing. You guys are all over the place. I'm finding out Baptist doctors are in Dade and Broward and everywhere in between working. I was really curious. Kristi's got a great story because we get older. It wasn't just the fracture of the wrist. It was caused by bone density and some of those things. I think it's really interesting because my wife is going through the same thing with the same doctor, Dr. Schumi. Kristi, just talk about finding out how some of this stuff was caused and what you're going through with your bones.
Well, yeah, I mean, Dr. Cardosa can tell you what he saw when he got inside there and did the surgery. But right after the surgery, I did have a bone density test done and discovered that I have osteopenia, which is not osteoporosis. It's leading up to osteoporosis, but the bone is obviously becoming weaker, which is why when I had that hard fall, I broke the bone. And so now I'm definitely taking lots of calcium, but more importantly, I'm making sure my diet is full of calcium because that's the kind of calcium that absorbs better into the bone. Kale, eggs, milk products, dairy products, those kinds of things. And then I'm also on a medication that I believe your wife is probably on called Timlis, which I inject every single day to help build up those bones. But yeah, I thought I was very healthy. I do half marathons. I do Orange Theory. I weight lift. But I also have a mother with really bad osteoporosis. She's bent over. And sometimes, as Dr. Cardosa will tell you, it's all about genetics too, right, doctor?
Absolutely. Yeah, genetics plays a big part. And, our role as orthopedic surgeons has changed. You guys talk about the changes in South Florida, but my role when I was in training as a hand surgeon, we spend a lot of our time learning how to put bones together and using plates and screws and whatnot. But more recently, we are sort of the gatekeepers of osteoporosis. So a lot of wrist fractures are really common. So people fall and break their wrists. Yeah. It's my job to help to fix that wrist, but also to bring to light that person probably has some level of bone weakness or osteopenia, as Kristi described it, all the way up to osteoporosis. And so sometimes hand surgeons are the gatekeepers to getting those folks to see the right people so that we can get their bone density right, so that they don't fall and break their hips next time.
Doc, so we've got her X-rays up here, and you look at X-rays. You're an orthopedic guy, you're a surgeon, but it looks like you're a bit of a carpenter too. You got some nails, you got some screws, you got some plates.
It's all in there in this little bit.
It's all right
Do you
there.
come
That's
in with
right.
one of those things, aren't you, with all the different screws and stuff, so you can get the job done?
That's right. We put a whole aisle of Home Depot into Kristi's wrist.
But you know what? I will tell you this. He's also a plastic surgeon because I know you can't see it with this. I have no scar. Just beautiful job he did. Wow. You would never know that I went through what I went through. That's how good he is.
So I got to get back to this because I have a wife in her 60s. I don't think she'd get mad with that either. That went through this. And how does a woman find out about at a certain age that you have this or you don't, to even get checked on it? And do you look at a certain age when a woman gets injured for that? Are you looking for that, Doc?
Absolutely. Well, certainly if somebody comes into my office with a broken bone, there are certain fractures that are classified as fragility fractures, where it sets off alarm bells. But honestly, the screening for both men and women over age 50 should be a conversation with your primary care doctor. Absolutely. Especially, it's more common in women than men, but it certainly still occurs in men, osteopenia. Yeah. So anybody over the age of 50 should have that conversation with their doc to make sure that they're screened appropriately.
So, Doc, also that you we're talking about broken bones and stuff like that, and you think of somebody younger breaking their bones, whether they're playing sports or whether they're doing something, skiing, whatever they're doing. But in the case of the people that we're talking to, 50 and above, there's a lot of balance issues. Balance becomes quite something that's very important as you move on, and you really need to get some exercise to keep that balance. Probably more, and certainly the older you get, when you get into your late 60s, your 70s, 80s, and stuff like that, balance would probably create some of these breaks. And so I think paying attention to that would certainly help alleviate some of those breaks that they're getting as they age forward.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about medications and nutrition as being important parts of this, but absolutely getting exercise. Kristi mentioned that she does weight-bearing exercises. That's really important, but working on things like stretching, flexibility, and all of that goes part and parcel with having a healthy lifestyle that really makes a difference for this stuff.
Yeah, I'm actually thinking of starting yoga, Pilates, those kind of things to try to get a little more of my balance, since clearly I'm a klutz.
Yeah. Kristi, you talked about earlier when we were talking, and Doc, now that we have you on with us as well, is there a certain percentage at a certain age where men and women, the percentage of a broken bone or by a fall, the numbers go up that you see for certain ages?
So can you clarify you're saying?
Well, what I meant was like at age 50, 55, or 60, you take that same fall you might have taken in your 20s or 30s, where you're seeing more broken bones because of some of the things we're talking about.
Absolutely. So osteopenia and osteoporosis, the older you get, there's certain fractures. So specifically wrist fractures, hip fractures, spine fractures that occur much more easily. So a fall when you're 20, maybe you'll sprain a ligament. You bruise the bone a little bit and you get up and you walk away. If you're 70 and you have that same fall, because your bones are fragile, the wrist is much more likely to shatter.
My mom, who I mentioned has osteoporosis, recently got a fracture in her back just from sitting funny. That's how fragile, and she's 86. But that's the kind of thing that can happen if you don't really take care of yourself. And now she's on a medication, but it took a long time for her to really get the medication and the help that she needed.
So Doc, along that line, if you get a break as you age, does it take longer for it to heal, or is it similar to? Does that make a difference?
So most of the studies actually show that they heal about the same rate, but to get stronger again, for the bone to kind of get stronger again, takes longer. What we call remineralization. So the bone to uptake all the calcium and everything else takes longer. The other part is sometimes with these what we call fragility fractures, they don't just have clean breaks. They break into a bunch of little pieces, and so that becomes a little bit more complicated.
Ooh. And that's what happened with me, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Kristi's wrist really sort of shattered into pieces to where if she had a clean break, we might have been able to treat it in a cast. But unfortunately, we had to put all those pieces back.
Yeah, a lot of good information, Doc. We're going to let you go here, but really appreciate you coming on, and we'll just finish up and chat with Kristi a little bit more. But
thank you, Doc. Really appreciate it very much.
Thank you, Doctor.
I know all you guys at Baptist Health Thrust, man, have been really great for us, and get us in and help us out. And,
we're spoiled.
Yeah, very, very spoiled. Very spoiled.
Hey, by the way, Bo, I got to say this. The Baptist Health has opened the Bone and Health and Fracture Prevention Clinic. I believe it might be the only one in South Florida, as far as I know.
It is.
Yes.
Yep. They are wonderful.
It's been a godsend for patients and for us practitioners to be able to streamline taking care of folks, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, Doc. We don't want to take any more of your
Thanks,
time.
Doc.
Appreciate it. You got people
Thank
to see.
you, guys.
Important people to see.
Bye-bye.
Much more important
Nice to see you guys.
than us two here.
Thanks, Doc.
Take care, guys.
So, Kristi, you got you got it fixed, and how long did it take till you felt better with it?
Oh, you know what? I was back to work in 3 weeks. I just didn't. Sitting around is not really very easy for me to do. So I was back to work in 3 weeks. Physical therapy. I mean, I'm still working on some mobility, but I'm feeling really. I was feeling pretty good within a month or so. And like I said, that bone break clinic, the break prevention clinic is so important, because I thought just taking 2 calcium pills a day was enough. I thought, maybe having a glass of orange juice that was fortified was enough. What I've been learning, things like, I was addicted to to Diet Coke. I love Diet Coke. I've gone cold turkey off Diet Coke because there is a chemical in Diet Coke that makes absorbing calcium into the bone a little more difficult. So I don't want Diet Coke. I need that calcium in my bone.
I appreciate that, because I'm a Diet Coke guy myself.
Ingesting calcium is better. You need kale, eggs, those kinds of things, not just taking a pill. A pill is not going to be enough for you. You need to actually be eating.
Earlier you talked about your Florida Gators.
Yeah,
right?
I know.
And so you're a big sports fan.
Love sports.
So obviously we're Dolphin guys. So we need to get your thoughts on this drought that the Dolphins have been in.
I know it has been hard, right?
25 years to be exact. Exactly.
Yeah, that's a long drought. I know. I mean, and I don't know what injuries all the time. There's just a bad luck.
Excuse every year, Kristi.
I know.
Excuse every year.
I don't know what to tell you. I mean, so listen, my dad was with the Bucks. My son is a huge Packer backer. We lived in Detroit for a while, and I mean, look what happened there. So I never have anybody to cheer for lately. It's been tough. It's been a tough year. I have good hope for the Gators though next year. They were showing some good signs of improvement at the end of the season.
I got to tell you, it's been amazing having you to hear about your sports background with your father being a college and professional. Crazy. I did not know that. Yeah. That's fantastic.
Oh yeah, no, we grew up. I would have to, no matter how late I was out on a Friday or a Saturday night when I was home, he made the whole family get up and go running. We ran every morning 3 miles. I mean, he was tough, but he's the reason that I didn't date very much in high school. He scared a lot of boys away.
Well, he knows what the boys are like at that age. That's why.
That's true.
So did you grow up in LA when you said he was at USC?
So I was born in Fresno. He was an assistant coach in Long Beach, but we moved a lot. He was an assistant coach at University of Illinois. He was a head coach at Utah State. And then we ended up, John McKay brought him over as the first assistant coach with the Buccaneers back in '76. So that's when we moved to Tampa.
Cal and John McKay was running USC was running the track meet all over Cal.
Student body left, student body right.
Oh yeah. No, my dad was with the Bucks. With USC when O.J. Simpson was there. The Wild Bunch, all the big those years.
Yeah. Great teams, great football teams.
Yeah. How long are you going to keep going? How long are you going to stay on the air? I think they're trying to push us out the door right now. So
I became a grandma last year. My son and his wife live in Houston, so I like to go over there and visit as much as I can. My daughter recently got married, so I might be on grandma duty here in a year or two, but I've got a couple more years left in me.
Kristi, thank you so much.
Yeah.
It's been great having you.
It's great to see you both as well.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for having us. And an important topic. I'm glad you brought it up.
Kristi's sitting on the set. She's in about 3 or 4 minutes. She's going to go on the air. So she's been a trooper.
It's been a good sport. Been a good sport. Thank you, Kristi.
Great day, guys.
Always a pleasure seeing you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
How about Kristi, huh? She's been around for a long time. Look,
wow.
She looks like she's about.
She looks fantastic.
30. I mean,
you can tell she takes great care of herself, and a little sports background in there as well.
She's well-rounded.
She was fantastic.
She's always been such a nice person too.
Really a class act.
No one better down here
and beautiful
in South Florida. But we're talking about these breaks, and I've had broken bones. I'm sure you've had broken. Half my finger's been broken. But now going through it, I couldn't see going through it at this age now. How it would be where we are right now at this spot.
Bone density for women and men, but as you say, you get older and stuff starts to break. And she was lucky enough to find out what happened.
You know what's funny about doing these shows, Joe? We'll do a show like this, and someone will go, "Oh, I've had that. You run into people
right
that we're doing something. They go, "Oh, I listened to that show because I have the same thing."
Right.
We think it's something unique, but especially in the age of our listeners, it isn't.
Yeah, I saw Kristi went through the same thing my wife did, getting the shots, gets a daily shot for it to strengthen her bones and help her out, along with the change in diet and all the things she's doing. I go, wow, sounds familiar. It's happening at home right now. So
I got to tell you, when Jimmy was here last week, when we had Marty Lyons on, I missed you because I was trying to poke him with Mark Gastineau. But Jimmy, Jimmy doesn't like to. He's
a pro's pro.
Yeah.
He's professional, man.
I knew you and we would get him.
We've done 20 minutes on that. That's one of the greatest documentaries of all time. The Sack Exchange.
Yeah, but
man,
Jimmy was great. And
he's the best.
I hope you guys are enjoying what we're doing. Hey, look at this. We finally matched up.
I knew it was going to happen.
Our scale shirts are matched up. And everybody's asking me. Paul Castronova says, hey, well, how can I get one of those shirts? I said it's $250.
The amount of money he's making, Paul's stealing money over there for sure.
Hey, so you can check out our scale shirts and again, Baptist Health for us, and we talk about a lot. They've been really, really good for us, and we see what they're doing for people around the community. This is 2 times
for everything, Bo.
Docs on here about that, and for everybody that's our age going through all these things. I hope you enjoy hearing about it and find out what you can do to either stay away from it. If you're in it, how do you fix it? And what do you do afterwards to keep going?
Just staying active, Bo, staying active. And we've been lucky enough through our sports medicine program that takes care of a lot of our professional teams to some of the hard issues you and I got fixed. It's great to have Baptist Health.
All right, and it's great to have you guys with us. And you can subscribe to us. You can follow us. You can do all those things. All the platforms, Spotify, iHeart Radio podcast, YouTube, all those things. You can catch us all over the internet. Hope you stick with us on Out to Pasture because we're getting old and we need someone to come in and take over for us a little bit. See you later.
Not yet.